sense, right? All right, so what is this about? This speech is about fairness in distribution systems. What does this mean? Let's say I have a group of resources sitting over here, and I need to allocate those resources to a group of participants that may be over here. And the resources are limited. There's less of those than there are people that want them. Now, these resources don't necessarily have to be things that the people absolutely want. They can be things that are like civic obligations that have to be distributed out somehow. So we need to have a system that's fair, right? Because if people don't believe a system is fair, they don't have confidence and they don't want to do whatever that resource requires of them to do. So let me take a few steps back here to describe the title of what I did. So fairness is the general concept, but does randomness equal equality? What is randomness? Randomness is that I have the most fair way that I can access these participants to allocate them the resource. And randomness, to get true, just a note on randomness, to get true randomness, we need nature. Okay, only nature is truly random. Now, most of the times we use computer systems to try to simulate randomness. That's always a pseudo-random phenomenon. Digital systems can never absolutely reproduce true randomness. The ones that try to do it really well incorporate external events. They try to get, time data. They try to get movements of the mouse, anything that would generate an act of nature. But just to realize how powerful we are with our randomness, just a little leaf that would come off of a flower that floats in the wind, it would take a supercomputer to figure out where that's going to go because of all of the forces of nature acting on it. So that's true randomness. But how do we get at that type of a system when we need to distribute these resources? Well, I wanted to talk about a few systems, and let's see if we expose some flaws in it to get us to a system that would really be truly random and get at this equality. And by the way, since I mentioned equality as well, equality means everybody has an equal access chance to win. And I want to make sure you understand the difference of that versus equity systems, because you're going to start hearing that word a lot in Ukraine because it's becoming very popular in the West to hear that too. Equity means that the selection process is skewed to form a particular outcome. We want one particular set of participants to have a better access. But so we'll keep that out now. Sometimes that's necessary if we're talking about, food distribution. We want the most hungry to get it but this is, I want true randomness against the entire pool. So let's take a system of resources. Maybe we don't always want them so much, but they just kind of happen in nature. Let's take a speeding ticket, okay? That's limited in how many, people drive? How many people drive? Raise your hand or know how to drive here. I drive, and I have gotten a speeding ticket before. The speeding ticket is limited, at least in the United States, into how many can be sent out. In Germany, for example, they can use the cameras and they can issue them as much as they want. In the United States, we have a little different laws. You have to actually witness the act happening, so therefore an officer has to witness you speeding. So is that a fair system? He usually has a gun, a radar gun, that he will point at the car, and if you are over, he can give you the ticket from that. Is that fair? Is that a truly fair system? How many say yes? Yeah. I think we're not completely fair yet with that system, because what's introduced with that system? A human being, right? When we have a human being in a system, we have cognitive bias possibility in there. So that's not 100% fair, but it's reasonably okay. But this cognitive bias distorts things, because maybe I've got a sports car and maybe the officer says, yeah, I'm going to pick him. Or if you get somebody that flashes above the limit there, you may say, it's an old car, maybe they don't have money, I'll pick somebody else. In other words, it's not truly a fair system. Another type of system would be a tax audit. Okay, we have to file taxes, and occasionally you get selected out of that based on the data you enter. Now that seems somewhat fair. A computer is usually involved and you provided the data and then it picks you, at random, but what's a problem with that system? The problem with that system is it's opaque, all right? Opaque is the opposite of transparent. We don't know what the government is doing. We're assuming that they're being fair in their selection, but we don't know that. One third example, jury duty. Now in the United States, when you vote, your name is available to serve on a jury. We have a very big system for that. There's a lot of need for jurors. And that system seems somewhat fair, but you're not chosen all the time to do the task because you can be dismissed. I can be called in and then the lawyers get together, the prosecutor and the defense can just dismiss you. So what does all this lead to? This fairness in terms of randomness is a very important concept, and it got me thinking about Toastmasters. So I kind of think Toastmaster has a set of resources, these roles that we do over here, and how do we distribute those roles fairly to everyone else? All right, and sometimes these roles may not be something we think about doing ourselves, but they need to be done. So one of my summer projects was to put together a simple software system that designed the concepts of roles, users, and clubs. And then meetings are defined that randomly go and pick people that have the capabilities to do certain roles. The software lets you set what roles anybody can do, and then assigns you. So I ask you, and I talked to Olga about this system is available if people would want to use it. Would that be something that you would consider a fair system? How many think that's a fair system to do it? Or do you feel like we want to personalize it and still need to ask people? How many think that? So all I ask is that this is a discussion point that you might have, maybe some ways you want to think about introducing fairness in systems. It reduces workload sometimes on getting the teams together to do the work. It ensures everybody's kind of equal access to do it. It removes cognitive bias, and there's a lot of advantages to it, but it's your decision to do. I wanted to present you a concept of that idea today, and I wish you well with whatever you choose. Thank you very much.